I didn't meet Hannah Mercer on the best day of her life. I met her in a hospital hallway, under fluorescent lights, after a 12-hour shift that turned into 14, because someone coded twice, and a kid swallowed a quarter like it was a dare. She still smelled like iodine and burnt coffee when she said to me, very calmly, "Claire, I think my family is going to try to destroy me on my birthday." And I remember thinking, that is a dramatic sentence for a woman who never raises her voice. Hannah was 30, ER nurse, small town outside Columbus, Ohio, the kind of place where everyone knows your car, your schedule, and your business before you do. She wasn't the loud one in her family. She was the useful one, the paycheck child, the one who fixes things without announcing she fixed them. So when she told me what she overheard in her parents' kitchen, I didn't hear drama. I heard a plan, and I heard a countdown. Because when people like Hannah finally get pushed to the edge, they don't explode. They get quiet. They get precise. And if you've ever been the person who pays the bill and still gets called ungrateful, you already know what that quiet feels like. Here's what happened. 3 months before Hannah's 30th birthday, her mother Elaine decided to throw her a surprise gathering. That's what the invite said. Surprise birthday. Come, celebrate. Show support. Those were the words. But in the Mercer house, support didn't mean hugs and cake. It meant witnesses. It meant a microphone. It meant 40 folding chairs pointed at one empty seat. And Hannah was supposed to sit in that seat and take her sentence like a good girl. I didn't know any of that yet. Not the folding chairs, not the microphone. I only knew the first thing Hannah said to me that night, sitting in her car in the hospital parking lot with the engine off. She checked her phone. 3 messages. From her mother. "Hannah, the insurance bill came. Can you handle it this month? Your dad got cut again." From her older sister, Paige. "Hey, can I borrow $400? There's an online course I need for my brand." From her dad, Tom, a photo of a roofing invoice. No words, just the photo. Hannah stared at it like it was a diagnosis. Then she opened her banking app, because that's what she always did. She did the math she did every month. Mortgage payment for her parents' house, $1,100. Elaine's health insurance supplement, $340. Paige's car payment, $280. Groceries, Hannah dropped off on Sundays, around $150. About $2,100 a month. Nearly half her take-home pay. And what did Hannah have? A 1-bedroom apartment, IKEA furniture. A refrigerator with 2 meal prep containers and a half-empty bottle of hot sauce. A 2014 Civic, with 130,000 miles and a cracked windshield she kept forgetting to fix because other people's problems always came first. No vacation in 8 years. Not one. And here's the part that makes people angry when they hear it. She never complained. Not once. Because she was raised by a woman named Nora, her grandmother, who stretched every dollar like it was elastic and taught Hannah one sacred rule. Family takes care of family. So Hannah took care of them. She just didn't realize the difference between taking care of someone and being taken from. Sunday dinners were the ritual. Every week. Same routine. Hannah shows up at 4, helps Elaine prep, sets the table, washes whatever is in the sink from the night before. By the time everyone sits down, Hannah has already been working for an hour, and that's before anyone asks her for money. That week, Elaine was glowing, talking about Paige's TikTok account like it was a scholarship. "She's building a personal brand," Elaine said, proud, almost giddy. "Life coaching. She already has almost 2,000 followers." Tom nodded like Paige had just gotten into Harvard. Hannah waited for a pause. "I got promoted last week," she said. "Charge nurse. It's leadership." Elaine reached for the bread basket. "That's nice, honey. Can you grab the salad from the fridge?" No hug. No congratulations. No question. Just salad. Paige arrived 45 minutes late with a bottle of wine. Not expensive, but the gesture earned her a hug at the door. Hannah had been there since 4. Nobody hugged her. Paige tossed her hair back and Hannah noticed her earrings. Small pearls. Vintage setting. Hannah had seen that setting before. "Those are pretty," Hannah said. "They look like Grandma Nora's." Paige shrugged like it was nothing. "Aunt Janice gave them to me," she said. "Said Grandma didn't want them anymore." Hannah looked at Elaine. Elaine suddenly found her mashed potatoes fascinating. And Hannah did what she always did. She let it go. She let the comments go. The favoritism go. The silence where gratitude should have been. She was good at letting things go. Until the Tuesday evening, 3 months before her birthday, when she stopped by her parents' house to pick up a jacket she'd left there on Sunday. The back door was unlocked. It always was. She stepped inside. Kitchen light on. Voices around the corner. Elaine and Paige. Hannah almost called out. Almost? Then she heard her name. "We do it on her birthday," Elaine said. The tone was casual. Organized. Like planning a church fundraiser. Everyone's already coming. We sit her down and we tell her the truth. She's selfish. She controls us with money, and we're done walking on eggshells. Hannah's hand froze on the doorframe. Paige laughed. "I'll film the whole thing," she said. This is exactly the kind of content my page needs. Raw, real family stuff. Then Paige hesitated. Just for a second. What if she stops paying? Elaine laughed. Not nervous. Confident. The laugh you give a child who threatens to run away. She won't, Elaine said. She's been paying for 8 years. She didn't stop when I forgot her college graduation. She didn't stop when your father called her career just bedpans and paperwork. Hannah stood there, breath shallow, heart loud. Elaine kept going. She's not going to stop because of one evening, Paige said. But what if she does? Elaine's voice dropped into something colder. Then 40 people just watched us beg her for help. If she walks away after that, she proves everything we said. She's trapped either way. Paige sounded excited now. Good, she said. And if she makes a scene, even better. Shows everyone she can't handle the truth. Hannah told me she stood there for maybe 10 seconds, but it felt like 10 minutes. Then she backed out through the door without making a sound, got in her car, sat in the driveway with her hands on the steering wheel staring at the garage door. 20 minutes, not moving. Because when your own mother describes you like a villain in a script she already wrote, your brain doesn't know where to put the pain. It just tries to organize it. And Hannah is an organizer. So, she called me. I'm Claire. I've been her best friend since college. And yes, I'm a civil rights attorney. But what mattered in that moment wasn't the law degree. What mattered was that I know Hannah's voice. I know when she's calm because she's fine. And when she's calm because she's in survival mode. She told me everything word for word. And when she finished, I asked one question. Do you still have that voice recorder app from the malpractice scare last year? She did. She'd installed it when a patient's family threatened to sue the hospital, and I told her to protect herself. Keep it, I said, and start using it. She didn't plan revenge that night. She planned survival. But survival, when it's done right, becomes truth. Over the next few days, Hannah did what she does best. She made a list, not of feelings, of consequences. If the intervention happened, and she just sat there and took it, 40 people would walk out believing she was the selfish daughter who tears her family apart. 40 people in a town where everyone knows everyone. 3 of those people worked at her hospital. Elaine invited them. Hannah found out the worst part through a screenshot someone sent me. Elaine messaged Marcus, Hannah's direct supervisor, Carla from the ER, and Dr. Pham. She called it a surprise birthday gathering. She wrote that she'd love for Hannah's work friends to show support. Show support. That phrase made my stomach turn. Because I understood what Hannah understood. In a small hospital, reputation is currency. And Elaine was about to bankrupt Hannah in public. Hannah explained the 3 doors to me over coffee, her hands wrapped around a mug she wasn't drinking. If she fought back, if she argued, if she raised her voice, she became the proof. See, this is what we're talking about. If she didn't show up at all, Elaine would say, she didn't even come. That's how selfish she is. If she sat there and took it, she would be branded forever. 3 doors, all traps. I stirred my latte and said, they set the stage. You didn't choose the audience, but you can choose what gets performed. She blinked at me. What does that mean? It means you need a 4th door, I said. And then I told her something most people don't know about Ohio. It's a one-party consent state. If you're part of a conversation, or even present in the room, you can legally record it. I confirmed it twice, not because I doubted it, because I respect the kind of chaos that follows the truth. I told Hannah, the consequences will be social, not criminal. Nobody goes to jail, but nobody hides either. Hannah stared down at her phone like it was suddenly a scalpel, and she started recording. Not with a hidden camera, not with anything dramatic, just an app. She opened it before she walked through her parents' door every Sunday. She closed it when she left. Simple. Week 1, nothing. Elaine talked about a church bake sale. Tom watched football. Paige didn't show up. Week 2, Hannah was at the kitchen sink after dinner rinsing plates. The garage door was cracked. Tom was on the phone, and Hannah heard a version of her father she'd never heard at the dinner table. Softer, lighter, like a teenager. Yeah, Linda, Tuesday works, Tom said. Elaine's got Bible study. I'll tell her I'm picking up parts at the store. A woman's laugh came through the speaker. Warm, familiar, too comfortable. Tom laughed too. 22 years, and she still thinks I go bowling on Tuesdays, he said. Hannah gripped the edge of the sink so hard her knuckles went white. A plate slipped and clinked. She caught it. Tom didn't hear. The app on her phone kept running. The waveform kept moving. That's the thing about recording. It doesn't filter. It catches everything. Hannah wasn't looking for her father's affair. She was looking for protection, but protection sometimes comes with a price. Because once you know, you can't unknow. Week 4, Hannah arrived 20 minutes early. Front door locked, so she went around back. Elaine's bedroom window was cracked open. Elaine was on the phone. Speaker on. Hannah could hear both sides. Tom doesn't know about the $14,000, Elaine said. I moved it to my personal account right after Mom's estate sale. He thinks the furniture sold for less than it did. Then, Aunt Janice's voice. Crisp as gossip. Smart. And then, like they were discussing coupons. Not theft. And the pearls, Janice said. I already sold the bracelet. Got $800 for it. If Nora asks, we just say it's at the jeweler being cleaned. Elaine laughed. Fine. Just don't let Hannah find out, she said. She's the only one who still visits Nora every week. If Nora mentions the bracelet, Hannah will start asking questions. Janice laughed too. Hannah won't find out, she said. She's too busy paying your mortgage. 2 women laughed about stealing from an 82-year-old grandmother. Hannah stood in the backyard next to the recycling bin listening, her phone in her jacket pocket. Red bar pulsing quietly. $14,000. That was 7 months of the mortgage Hannah had been paying. The mortgage she thought was keeping a roof over her parents' heads while they struggled. They weren't struggling. Elaine had $14,000 tucked away, while Hannah ate meal prep out of plastic containers and drove with a cracked windshield. When Hannah told me that, she didn't cry. She sounded empty, like something in her had finally stopped believing. Now she had 2 secrets in her phone, and there were still 6 weeks until her birthday. 6 weeks of Sunday dinners. 6 weeks of smiling. 6 weeks of being the good daughter in a house full of masks. She could do it. She'd been doing it for years. The next Sunday, Paige's husband Mark didn't come to dinner. Extra shift, electrical work at a new development on the edge of town. Mark worked hard, always had. Paige used to brag about it when they first got married. That night she didn't brag. 2 glasses of wine in, Paige leaned toward Elaine. Hannah sat at the other end, cutting her chicken. Invisible. Mark is useless, Paige said, low but clear. Can't fix the sink. Can't get a promotion. I married a man who peaks at 35. Elaine didn't flinch. You could have done better, she said. Paige drained her glass. I wish I never said yes at that altar. Tom was in the living room watching TV. Didn't hear, or didn't care. Hannah said nothing. She ate her chicken, phone in her lap, recording every word. 40 minutes later, Paige stepped into the hallway, phone to her ear, and her voice changed like flipping a switch. Honey, she said, sweet. Miss you, babe. Save me some leftovers, okay? You're the best thing in my life. Hannah watched her walk back into the kitchen and pour a 3rd glass. And in that moment, Hannah understood something that would matter later. Every person in that family wore a mask. She was the only one who didn't. Not anymore. 2 weeks before her birthday, I sent Hannah a screenshot. Elaine was messaging a woman named Peggy, who was friends with Carla from the ER. Elaine asked Peggy to pass along the invite to Hannah's work friends. "We'd love for Hannah's work friends to be there," Elaine wrote. "It's a special evening. We want the people who matter most to her to show their support." Then I sent a second screenshot. Elaine messaged Marcus directly. "Marcus, the man who signed Hannah's schedule and evaluations. Hannah," I said into the phone when she called me back, "your mother invited your boss." There was a silence so long I could hear Hannah breathing. "That's my career," she finally said. "If Marcus sits in that living room and watches my mother call me selfish and ungrateful, he'll never see me the same way." That's when this stopped being just about surviving a family ambush. This became about protecting her life, her work, her dignity. So we tightened the plan. 10 days before her birthday, Hannah and I sat in my car outside a coffee shop, engine off, rain ticking the windshield. I laid out the ground rules. 1, I said, you walk in like it's a normal party. Smile, greet people, don't signal anything. Okay, she said. 2, when they start, you let them talk all the way through. Don't interrupt, she swallowed. Fine. 3, when they finish, you ask to speak privately. One time, calmly, clearly. Can we discuss this in private? Just the family? And if they say no? She asked. That's rule 4, I said. If they refuse to stop, if they insist on doing this in front of everyone, the recordings play. Hannah stared at me, and once they play, I held her gaze. Once you press play, you can't unring that bell. I reminded her again. Ohio is one-party consent. She was present for every recording. It was legal. The consequences would be social. Hannah looked down at her phone. 4 files in a folder she labeled insurance. Not because she was trying to be clever, because that's what they were. Insurance. File 1, Tom and Linda. File 2, Elaine and Aunt Janice. The $14,000 and the jewelry. File 3, Paige on Mark. File 4, Elaine and Paige planning the intervention. Hannah backed them up to cloud storage, sent copies to my email, and then I reached into the back seat and put a small Bluetooth speaker on the console. Black, the size of a soda can. Your phone speaker won't cut it for 40 people, I said. Hannah picked it up. It was light. It didn't look like much. You don't have to yell, I told her. You just have to press play. The day before her birthday, Hannah drove to Maple Ridge, the assisted living facility where Grandma Nora lived. Nora's room smelled like lavender lotion and old books. She sat by the window in her wheelchair, doing a crossword puzzle with a pen, not pencil. That was Nora. No erasing. Hannah sat with her like she always did. 15 minutes of Wheel of Fortune, even though it was a rerun. But during a commercial, Nora said casually, "Big birthday tomorrow. Your mother planning something?" "She is," Hannah said. "Good," Nora said, adjusting her glasses. "I hope she's being kind about it." Hannah didn't answer. Nora reached for Hannah's hand. "Skin thin as paper, grip firm. Your grandfather always said the Mercer women are loud," Nora said. "But the strong ones are quiet." Then Nora asked, like she was asking about the weather. "Janice was supposed to bring my bracelet last month. Pearl one with the clasp." "Haven't seen it." Hannah told me later her throat tightened so hard she could barely swallow, because she knew that bracelet was sold for $800. She knew because she heard it in her mother's laugh. "I'm sure it'll turn up," Hannah told Nora. Nora studied her face and didn't push. That night, Nora sent Hannah a text message full of typos because Hannah bought her that phone last Christmas. "Whatever they do tonight, remember who raised you on Saturdays. I am proud of you always." Hannah read it 3 times in her car. Then she drove home to face the storm. Saturday evening, I came to Hannah's apartment with takeout and the speaker. We ate pad thai on her couch, the one piece of furniture she actually liked. I went through logistics one more time. Speaker connects in 3 seconds. Clear audio from across the room. I'd keep it in my purse with the top unzipped. Hannah would sit near the back row, close to the door. If it went sideways? I was right there. Hannah held the speaker like it was a grenade. I hope I won't need it, she said. I didn't lie to her. Hope isn't a plan, I said gently. We sat in silence. Her apartment was quiet. Her phone on the table, 4 audio files lined up, each one a door that only opens one way. At 2 a.m., Hannah listened to them again. Tom's loose laugh, Elaine's confident voice, Paige's cruel whisper and then sweet voice 10 minutes later. And Elaine's plan, calm as a checklist. We do it on her birthday. Tell her she's selfish. If she cries, even better. The next evening, Hannah pulled into her parents' driveway at 6:15. Cars lined the street both directions. 11, 12, more. Not a dinner, not a party, a crowd. Her phone was charged. The app open, speaker paired. She smoothed her blouse, checked her reflection, took one breath, and walked in. The living room had been rearranged. Couch shoved against the wall, coffee table gone. In its place, 4 rows of folding chairs, 10 across facing one point, a microphone on a chrome tripod, and behind it, taped to wood paneling, a banner on butcher paper in blue marker. We love you enough to tell the truth. No cake, no streamers, no presents. Hannah scanned faces. Marcus, her supervisor, second row, arms crossed. Carla beside him clutching her purse. Dr. Pham near the back looking confused. Neighbors from childhood, 2 Bible study women in matching cardigans, cousins. Paige's college roommate, and in the far corner, Paige behind a tripod with her phone mounted, red dot blinking. Liv. I sat in the last row by the door, purse on my lap, zipper open 2 inches, speaker waiting inside like a verdict. Hannah spotted one empty chair in the front row center, her seat, facing everyone. She sat down. Elaine stepped up to the microphone in her good cream blouse, hands steady, smile practiced. Thank you all for coming, she said. I know this isn't what Hannah expected tonight, but as a family, we decided it was time to be honest. Elaine unfolded a sheet of paper slowly. Hannah, honey, we love you, but we can't keep pretending everything is fine. Then she read. She told the room Hannah was selfish, that Hannah held money over their heads like a weapon, that Hannah decided when and how much she gave like they were a charity case. Elaine said Hannah was cold, that Hannah never called Tom on Father's Day. Elaine didn't mention Tom hadn't answered his phone on Father's Day in 3 years because he was always out picking up parts. Elaine said Hannah was tearing the family apart. That Sunday dinners were tense because of Hannah's attitude. Elaine paused and looked at Hannah with practiced tenderness. We're not doing this to hurt you, she said. We're doing this because nobody else had the courage. The room was quiet. A chair creaked. Someone coughed. Marcus uncrossed his arms and leaned forward. Watching, the 2 Bible study women nodded. One dabbed her eyes like she was witnessing love. Hannah sat perfectly still, hands on her knees, face neutral. The same face Hannah wears when a patient's family screams at her in the ER. Calm, present, absorbing, because Elaine wasn't finished. And neither was Tom. Tom stood up. He didn't look at Hannah. He pulled out 3 pages of lined paper folded in thirds, covered in handwriting. Hannah recognized it instantly. Not his. Elaine's. Elaine wrote the list. Tom was just the delivery man. He cleared his throat. Hannah, your mother and I, we made this together. It's a record of patterns, things we've noticed. Then he started reading. Hannah, age 8, broke the kitchen window playing ball and lied about it. Hannah didn't break that window. Paige threw a softball through it. Hannah was blamed because Paige cried first. Tom kept reading. Hannah, age 13, told her aunt she didn't want to go to church camp. Correct, because it was July, and Hannah had a summer reading program at the library. Elaine called her difficult. Hannah, age 15, refused to let Paige borrow her car for prom. Hannah was 15. She didn't have a car. Paige wanted Elaine's car. Elaine said no. Hannah got blamed. Hannah, age 22, moved out without asking permission. 22, moved out without asking permission. Tom read for 7 minutes. 7 minutes of childhood scraped off a bone and held up under fluorescent light for 40 people to inspect. Carla had her hand over her mouth. Mark, Paige's husband, stared at his shoes. Tom finished, folded the pages, and looked up for the first time. "We raised you better than this," he said. He sat down. The room waited. Hannah waited. She let 10 seconds pass. Let it settle. Let everyone feel the weight of what they had just watched. Then Hannah stood, chair scraping behind her. Every head turned. She spoke level and steady. "Mom, Dad, I hear you. I appreciate that you feel strongly. Can we talk about this privately? Just the 4 of us?" Elaine shook her head before Hannah finished. "No," Elaine said. "This is exactly why we're doing it here. Because privately, you shut us down. These people are witnesses." Witnesses. That word hit like a slap. Tom said, "Sit down, Hannah." Paige's voice from the corner, cheerful and sharp. "Just let them finish. This is good for you." She adjusted her phone on the tripod. Still live. Hannah looked around the room slowly. Marcus was typing something on his phone. Maybe a note. Maybe a text. Maybe a message to someone in administration. "You won't believe what I'm watching right now." The Bible study woman in green nodded again. She believed Elaine. She believed the banner. I watched Hannah's face. No tears. No shaking. Just a decision forming. Hannah looked at me. My hand rested on my purse. The speaker waited inside. I gave her the smallest nod, and Hannah took a breath. The same breath she takes before calling time of death. Not because this was the end, because this was the beginning of something that couldn't be taken back. "Okay," Hannah said. "You've had your turn." She opened her purse and pulled out her phone, held it up so the room could see, and she said the 6 words that split that living room in half. "Funny. I've been recording too." Silence. Not quiet. Silence with weight. Then, Hannah pressed play. The speaker came alive from my purse. Clear and loud. Tom's voice filled the room. "Yeah, Linda, Tuesday works. Elaine's got Bible study. I'll tell her I'm picking up parts at the store." A woman laughed on the other end. "Warm, familiar," Tom continued, loose and careless. 22 years and she still thinks I go bowling on Tuesdays? The room stopped breathing. Elaine turned to Tom and her face drained all at once like someone pulled a plug behind her eyes. Tom lunged forward in his chair. "Turn that off," he hissed. "Turn that off." Hannah didn't move. The recording kept playing. "I'll bring dinner," Tom said. "That Italian place you like." "She'll never know." The woman in the green cardigan stood up, looked at Elaine, looked at Tom, looked at the door, picked up her coat and walked out without a word. Her friend followed. Elaine gripped the back of a folding chair so hard her knuckles went yellow-white. "Tom," she whispered, voice cracking. "Bowling?" Hannah touched her screen. The recording stopped. Her voice was calm as a chart note. "That's recording 1, she said. She paused. "There are 3 more." Nobody moved. Nobody breathed. That banner behind her, "We love you enough to tell the truth," had never sounded more cruel. Hannah pressed play on file 2. Elaine's voice this time, confident and conspiratorial. "Tom doesn't know about the 14,000. I moved it to my personal account right after Mom's estate sale. He thinks the furniture sold for less." Aunt Janice's voice followed. Smooth as syrup. Smart. "And the pearls. I already sold the bracelet. Got 800 for it. If Nora asks, we just say it's at the jeweler being cleaned." Tom turned toward Elaine, face wrecked, half guilt from the first recording, half fury from the second. 14,000, he said. "From Nora's estate. You told me the auction brought in 4,000 total." Elaine's voice went high and thin. "That's taken out of context." Aunt Janice was in the 3rd row. She bolted to her feet like the chair burned her. "Elaine, you told me no one would ever find out." The room erupted. Not screaming, but murmuring. A low, rolling wave of disbelief. Someone leaned toward Janice. "You sold Grandma Nora's bracelet, the pearl one." Janice's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Nothing came out. One of Elaine's Bible study friends stood up now, clutching her purse. She looked at Elaine like she was rewinding years of conversations and seeing them differently. Then she left. Hannah stopped the audio. That's two, she said. The room wasn't watching Hannah anymore. They were watching each other, watching the lie crack. Hannah looked at Paige. Paige was behind the tripod, but the red dot was gone. At some point, Paige killed the live. Too late. Hundreds of people had already watched the first half. The damage was in the cloud. Paige's eyes were wide. She knew what was next. Hannah pressed play. Paige's voice, slightly slurred from wine. Mark is useless. Can't fix the sink. Can't get a promotion. I married a man who peaks at 35. Elaine's voice in response. You could have done better. Paige again, bitter. I wish I never said yes at that altar. The audio was pristine. Every consonant sharp. Mark sat in the second row, hands clasped between his knees. He had been confused and quiet through everything before this. Now he went still, not shocked. Recognition, like something he always suspected finally arrived in high definition. He stood slowly, didn't look at Hannah, didn't look at Elaine or Tom or Janice. He looked at Paige. Paige's face collapsed. Mark, she cried. Wait, that's not what I didn't mean it. Mark said nothing. He held her gaze for 3 seconds. Then he walked down the aisle between folding chairs and out the front door. He didn't slam it. He just closed it. A soft click that somehow sounded louder than any shouting ever could. Paige lunged at the tripod, grabbed her phone, tapping frantically, deleting apps, deleting streams, deleting evidence, crying now, and nobody moved to comfort her. Hannah stood there with one file left. This one wasn't about Tom's secret or Elaine's money or Paige's marriage. This one was about the cruelty of the whole setup, the script, the performance, the trap. Hannah hesitated for the briefest moment, and I knew exactly what she was weighing. Not whether she should hurt them, whether she should show 40 people that this was never about love. It was about control. Hannah pressed play. Elaine's voice from 3 months ago in the kitchen. We do it on her birthday. We sit her down, tell her she's selfish. If she cries, even better. Shows everyone she can't handle the truth. Paige's voice, excited. I'll film the whole thing. My page needs content like this. Raw, real family moments. Elaine again. And if she threatens to stop paying the mortgage, we tell everyone she's abandoning her family. She won't risk that. The recording ended. Hannah let the silence sit. 40 people now knew the truth. Not Elaine's version. Not the banner's version. Not the 3-page list's version. The truth. Marcus picked up his phone from his thigh and put it in his pocket slowly. Not confused anymore. Recalculating. Tom sat slumped, chin against his chest. Elaine stood alone by the microphone, her paper crumpled in her hand. The microphone was still on its stand, but it might as well have been a monument to something that just died. Hannah lowered her phone. That's the last one, she said. Quiet. No triumph. Just fact. Now you all know exactly who's selfish in this family. She paused. It isn't me. Hannah put her phone back in her purse. She stood straight. I want to say this once clearly so there's no confusion, she said, voice steady. Starting tonight, I am no longer paying the mortgage on this house. I'm no longer covering the insurance premium. I'm no longer making Paige's car payments. I've set up auto cancellation for every recurring transfer. Effective midnight, Elaine's head snapped toward her. You can't do that. We depend on you. Hannah's eyes didn't blink. You depend on me, she corrected. Not the other way around. And you just spent 30 minutes telling 40 people how terrible I am, Hannah continued. So I'm giving you exactly what you asked for. A life without my selfishness. Someone in the back let out a low whistle. Carla nodded quietly. Elaine's mouth opened, closed, opened again. Hannah, this isn't... You're overreacting. Hannah's voice stayed flat and clear. I asked to talk privately. You said no. I asked you to stop. You said no. I'm not overreacting. I'm responding. Then Hannah looked at me. Ready? She asked. I stood, looped my purse over my shoulder, walked toward her. Hannah turned to the room one last time. Thank you for coming, she said. I'm sorry it wasn't the party you expected. Then she walked toward the door. Elaine's intervention was over. Hannah's was just beginning. 3 steps from the door. Marcus stood up. I'd seen Marcus stand up for patient rights, staffing ratios, union votes. He wasn't dramatic. He spoke like someone who understood authority doesn't require volume. "Hannah," he said. Hannah stopped. Marcus buttoned his jacket. "I've worked with you for 6 years," he said. "I've seen you hold a dying man's hand at 3 a.m. and chart his vitals at 3:15 without missing a beat." He paused. "I know exactly who you are." Marcus looked around the room, then back to Hannah. "This doesn't change anything at our hospital," he said. "Except maybe my respect for you just went up." Carla stood next. She grabbed her coat. "I'm driving you home," she said. "You shouldn't be alone tonight." Hannah's face shifted, just slightly. Not relief. Something like setting down a bag she didn't realize she'd been carrying. On the way out, Elaine grabbed Hannah's sleeve. Her fingers trembled. "Hannah, please." Hannah looked down at Elaine's hand, then at Elaine's face. "Mom," she said softly. "You had a microphone. I had a phone." She gently pulled her sleeve free. "The difference is mine," told the truth. Hannah walked out and closed the door gently, with a click. The same way Mark did. On the porch, Hannah checked her phone. A text from Nora, sent 2 hours ago, because Nora went to bed early. "Happy birthday, my girl, you are the best of us." Hannah pressed the phone against her chest and stood in the cool Ohio air until Carla pulled the car around. Carla drove. I sat in the back. Nobody spoke for 2 minutes, just tires on wet asphalt and the low hum of the heater. Then I asked, "You okay?" Hannah thought about it. Not the polite answer, the real one. "I don't know yet," she said. I nodded. "That's enough," I told her. Halfway down Route 33, Hannah read Nora's text out loud, typos and all. Carla's hands tightened on the wheel. I made a sound that wasn't crying, but was close. "Your grandma," Carla said. "Sounds like the kind of woman I'd want at my intervention." Hannah laughed, cracked and wet, the first laugh of the night. Back at Hannah's apartment, her phone had 36 unread messages. She didn't open them. Not that night. She opened her banking app instead. 3 recurring transfers. Mortgage, $1,100. Insurance, $340. Car payment, $280. She canceled all 3. Confirm, confirm, confirm. Done. Then she sat on the edge of her bed in the dark and listened to nothing. No calls to return. No bills to pay for someone else. No Sunday dinner to prep for. For the first time in 8 years, her paycheck was just hers. Quiet. Small. Everything. The next day, Tom moved out. Not dramatically. No suitcases on the lawn. He packed a duffel bag and drove to his friend Bill's house. Elaine came home and found his side of the closet half empty. She called Hannah 14 times. Hannah didn't pick up. Not to punish her, because there was nothing left to say. Day 3. Paige called, sobbing so hard I could barely understand her. "Mark filed for separation," Paige cried. "He won't talk to me. He changed the locks." Hannah closed her eyes, held the phone an inch from her ear. "I'm sorry to hear that," Hannah said. "You ruined my marriage." Paige snapped through tears. Hannah's voice stayed steady. "You ruined your marriage in that kitchen 6 weeks ago," she said. I just pressed play. Day 5. A cousin called Hannah and told her he checked on Nora's bracelet. Nora said, "My bracelet?" "Janice told me it was at the jeweler for cleaning. That was 4 months ago." He confronted Janice. Janice admitted she sold it. He told the rest of the family. Janice's phone went silent. Nora asked Hannah to come Saturday. "I want to hear this from you," Nora said. "Not them." Day 7. Elaine posted a long, emotional status on Facebook. "Our family is going through a difficult season. We ask for your prayers and your grace." Nobody liked it. Nobody commented. The 2 Bible study friends unfriended her. 1 week, that's all it took. Not for things to fall apart. They'd been falling apart for years. 1 week for the glue to dissolve, and the glue was Hannah. It was always Hannah. A month passed. The dust didn't settle. It rearranged. Hannah sat with coffee and her banking app and did the math she should have done years ago. The $2,100 a month she'd been sending home. Here's where it went now. Student loans paid off in 6 weeks. Remaining balance $3,800. Gone. She opened a retirement account for the first time in her life. 30 years old and never put a dollar toward her own future. She set up auto deposit. $200 a month to start? Not much. Hearse. She booked a flight to visit Nora properly. Not a 40-minute drive. A real visit. 2 days. Hotel nearby. Mornings with Nora without rushing. At the hospital, nobody brought up that night. Not once. Marcus treated Hannah the same way he always did. Brief note. Straight to business. But he assigned her to the new trauma protocol committee. Extra responsibility. Also trust. Carla started having lunch with Hannah every Wednesday. They talked about normal things. Easy things. One Saturday, Hannah walked into a hardware store and bought a $5 plant. She set it on her kitchen counter in the spot where her phone used to sit while she calculated how much she owed everyone else. I texted her that evening. How does freedom taste? She sent back a photo of the plant. Like a $5 plant from the hardware store. I laughed out loud in my office. 6 weeks later, Hannah walked out of the hospital after a double shift. Feet aching. Scrubs, smelling like antiseptic. Thinking about leftover pasta and her couch. Then she saw Elaine standing by her car. Arms folded. No coat. Even though it was 40 degrees. Hannah, Elaine said. I'm your mother. You can't just cut me off. Hannah unlocked her car, set her bag on the passenger seat. I didn't cut you off, she said. I cut off the money. Those are two different things. Elaine lifted her chin. That intervention came from love, she said. Even if you can't see it. Hannah leaned against her car, tired in the way sleep doesn't fix. You wrote Dad's script, Hannah said. You invited my boss. You told Paige to live stream it. You planned it for my birthday so I couldn't say no without looking ungrateful. Hannah paused. That's not love, she said. That's a production. Elaine's jaw tightened. So what do you want from me? A real apology, Hannah said. Not a Facebook post, Elaine snapped. I'm not going to apologize for caring about my daughter. Hannah nodded once. Then we're done here for now, she said. She opened her car door. Elaine didn't move. Hannah, Elaine said, voice shaking now. Please. Hannah looked at her and said the quietest, hardest thing. I love you, she said. But I won't let you treat me like an ATM and then call me selfish for having a limit. She got in, started the engine, pulled out, and in the rearview mirror, Elaine stood where Hannah left her, getting smaller. Hannah cried on the drive home, not from regret, from loss, because loving someone and accepting their abuse are two different things. Hannah chose love. She just stopped accepting the rest. Here's where everyone ended up. Tom and Elaine separated officially. Tom lived in a one-bedroom apartment near the hardware store on 5th. He called Linda after the party. Linda didn't pick up. Turns out Linda had a husband, 2 kids, and a mortgage of her own. Tom was her Tuesday distraction. Nothing more. He lost his wife and his fantasy in the same night. Paige and Mark finalized the divorce 3 months later. Mark kept the house. His name was on the mortgage. His payments. His credit. Paige moved back in with Elaine. 2 women in a 3-bedroom house with nothing to say to each other. Paige deleted her TikTok permanently. All that raw, real family content? Gone. Janice couldn't avoid the bracelet situation. Nora called her directly. I was there in Nora's room at Maple Ridge when Nora said, calm as weather, I want the money or the bracelet. Pick one. Janice didn't have either. She'd spent the $800. The family barely spoke to her after that. Elaine still called Hannah sometimes. Not every day. Not every week. Sometimes a text. Thinking of you. Sometimes, Hannah responded. Sometimes she didn't. No schedule. No obligation. No autopay. And Hannah... She kept working at the hospital. She kept driving the Civic. She fixed the windshield. She kept visiting Nora every Saturday. She still ate meal prep. But the containers got better. Glass. Not plastic. Small upgrade. Hers. Hannah didn't destroy her family. The truth did. Hannah just gave it a microphone. And if that sounds cold, I need you to hear me as her friend, not her lawyer. The truth doesn't destroy strong things. It only destroys the things that were held together by lies. Last week was Hannah's 31st birthday, not at the Mercer house. At Hannah's apartment. 6 people. A lemon cake with cream cheese frosting because that's what Nora always ordered for Hannah when she was little. The candles were crooked. Nobody fixed them. Nobody read a list of Hannah's faults. Nobody set up a microphone. Nobody pointed a camera at her face. Nora called on FaceTime and sang happy birthday off key and off rhythm. And everyone sang along. It was the most beautiful mess I've ever heard. Hannah blew out the candles. I cheered. Carla's daughter asked if she could have the corner piece with extra frosting. Hannah said yes. 1 year ago, 40 people sat in a living room to tell Hannah who she was. This year, 5 people sat in her apartment and nobody needed to say a thing because they already knew. After everyone left, Hannah washed the dishes. Warm water. Quiet apartment. Plant on the counter. The same counter where she used to calculate transfers. She texted me later. 1 sentence. I like the woman blowing out those candles. I stared at that message for a long time. Because that is the part Elaine never understood. Hannah didn't press play to punish them. Hannah pressed play to save herself. Now, I'm going to talk to you directly for a minute. And this is the only part I'm adding beyond Hannah's story. If you're the one in your family who always pays, always fixes, always shows up early, always gets told you're difficult the moment you ask for respect, I want you to take one breath with me. The mistake most people make is thinking boundaries have to be dramatic. They think a boundary has to be shouting, slamming doors, a meltdown at Thanksgiving. It doesn't. Sometimes a boundary is a quiet sentence and a canceled autopay. Sometimes it's saying, I'm not overreacting. I'm responding. Sometimes it's realizing you don't owe people access to you just because they share your last name. Here's something actionable you can do this week if this story hit too close. First, write down what you actually give. Money, time, labor, emotional support, rides, childcare, bills, anything. Be specific, numbers if you can. Not because you're petty, because clarity ends confusion. Second, write down what you get back. Not love in theory, in practice. Respect, gratitude, safety, reciprocity. If the list is mostly silence and guilt, that's data. Third, pick one small boundary that doesn't require a fight. 1. Maybe it's stopping one payment. Maybe it's not answering the 10th call. Maybe it's saying, I can help once a month, not every week. Then hold it long enough to see who you really are to them. And here are 2 questions you can ask yourself tonight, quietly, without anyone else's opinion. If I stopped giving, would they still want me near them? And if I keep going like this, who am I becoming? You don't have to record your family. Hannah's story is Hannah's story, but you can learn what she learned. You are not selfish for having a limit. You are not ungrateful for expecting respect. And you are not tearing your family apart by refusing to hold it together at your own expense. Boundaries aren't walls. They're doors. You decide who walks through, and when, and under what terms. And if you've been waiting for a sign that it's okay to choose yourself, maybe this is it.